Okay, let's talk about Excel. We all spend hours, maybe a few too many hours, staring at those cells, right? But what if I told you one of its biggest time savers has been hiding in plain sight this whole time? Seriously. Today, we're going to unlock the power of this tiny little box that will completely change how you work with your data.
Yeah, that box. The one right to the left of the formula bar. Most of the time it just says something like A1, so we tune it out. But here's the thing. Ignoring this box is like owning a sports car and only ever driving it in first gear. There's so much more power under the hood.
See, this isn't just a label, it's an active tool. It's your secret weapon for making your spreadsheets faster to navigate, way easier to understand, and honestly just far more professional. So let's crack it open and see what it can do.
First up, and this is the big one, using plain English names. Think about it. We're going to go from these cryptic cell references, A1, B50, to clear, simple labels like employees. You're basically teaching Excel to speak your language.
And this slide right here, this is the aha moment. Look at the before formula, equals sum C2 colon C50. What is that? I have no idea. You have to scroll over and see what's in those cells. But the after equals sum salaries. Instantly, you know exactly what that formula does. No hunting, no guessing. That's the magic right there. So what we're creating here has an official name. It's called a defined name, but don't let the fancy term scare you. All it is a friendly, human-readable label you can slap onto a single cell, a huge chunk of data, or even a whole formula.
And making one, it's ridiculously simple. Ready? Step 1, select the cells you want to name. Step 2, click right into that name box. Step 3, type your name, like salaries or employees. And now, this is the most important part. You have to hit Enter. Don't just click away. Press Enter to lock it in. And that's it. You've just created your first defined name. Easy, right?
All right, part 2. Let's talk about navigating like a pro. Because once you start naming things, you unlock a whole new way to zip around your workbook. This is where you really start to feel that speed boost.
First up, just kidding around. Forget endless scrolling through those giant spreadsheets. If you need to get to, say, cell B150, just type B150 into the name box. Smack that enter key and boom, you're there, instantly. It's a huge time saver.
And the same exact thing works for your named ranges. If you want to grab all your employee data, you don't have to do that awkward click and drag thing. Just type employees in the name box, hit enter, and the whole range is selected. This is a lifesaver, especially if your data has blank cells that always mess up the keyboard shortcuts.
And it gets even better. This little box has some serious superpowers. You can select a specific range just by typing it, like A1D10. You can even select totally separate chunks of data at once by using a comma, like A2 to B8, E2 to F8. Or hey, need a whole column? Just type AA. An entire row, 2. This gives you a level of precision that's just hard to beat.
Okay, so before you go wild and start naming everything in sight, we need to talk about the rules of the game. This is section 3, the simple rules for naming. They're just a few quick things to keep in mind so Excel doesn't get confused. They're pretty straightforward, honestly. Your name has to start with a letter, an underscore, or a backslash. After that, you're good to go with letters, numbers, periods, and underscores. The big one to remember, no spaces. If you want a space, use an underscore instead, like total sales. And last thing, names aren't case sensitive. So to Excel, sales in all caps and sales in lowercase are the exact same thing.
And here's a fun little quirk. You can't create a name that looks like a cell address. So I'm sorry to break it to all the Star Wars fans out there, but C-3PO and R2-D2 are not valid names. Excel would just get confused and think you're talking about a cell. It's a simple rule to keep things from getting messy.
So you've created a bunch of these awesome names. Now what? How do you keep track of them all? That brings us to our next section, mastering the name manager. Think of this as your command center for every single defined name in your workbook. You can find it on the Formulas tab up in the ribbon. But the pro move? Use the keyboard shortcut, Control plus F3. Just hit that, and boom, the name manager pops right up, showing you a list of every single name you've created.
And inside, you have total control. You can edit a name if you misspelled it, or change the cells it refers to. You can filter a huge list to find the one you're looking for. And of course, you can delete any names you don't need anymore.
This is really the key to keeping your workbook clean and manageable as you start using this feature more and more.
All right, let's bring it all home and talk about your new Excel superpower. Seriously, by just mastering this one tiny overlooked box, you've fundamentally upgraded your entire workflow. I think this quote from the source material just says it all. It's a small feature with big benefits. And it's so true. It's easy to ignore, but the payoff in productivity and clarity is just massive. So just think about what we've done here. We've taken a boring little display box and turned it into a powerful tool for lightning-fast navigation, crystal-clear formulas, and organized workbook management. You've gained speed, clarity, and control, all from one tiny feature. So the only question left is, what are you going to do with this new power? Go on, open up one of your own spreadsheets right now and ask yourself, what's the very first thing you're going to name?